Okay, so what I'm doing right now, after reading those fault codes on the engine and fixing the back inside, removing that metal, I'm going to remove this line of rivets and the handholds right there, all the way around to this point here. So that's where the bus will split because we're doing a full front to back raise. And then I'm going to cut under the back window back in the back of the bus. So I'll pull another clip here once I've done that. Okay, so I'm cutting slots in with the cutoff wheel on the angle grinder. And the plan is to use the air impact hammer with the chisel bit to break those rivets off, and then we'll drive them out into the inside of the bus. So we'll see how it works. Haven't tried this technique yet, but it should work. Okay, so I used the pneumatic air impact chisel to kind of shear the heads off of these rivets. And I'm going to get up behind this rain guard and kind of move it out and break that bead of caulk there. And then I will change out the I guess the chisel on the air impact tool for one that'll drive the rivets out through the holes. So yeah, I'll update you after that. Okay, so after shearing the heads off the rivets, I'm going to use this bit, which will punch them out. We're going to swap that onto the air tool. Alright, so I got the rivets out of the front of the bus, above the windshield, and around the top of the driver's window and above the entry door. So I got all those rivets out. Most of them I was able to use the grinding wheel from outside and the flat bit on the impact hammer to kind of shear the heads off, and then I used the pointed bit to shove the rivets back into the bus. Some of them I got from inside with a drill bit and the pointed tool. But now I'm in the back of the bus. Oops, sorry, covered the camera there. I'm going to flip the view here. That won't let me, but I'll show you here in a second. I'm in the back of the bus and working on the rivets back here for separating below the back window and just above the engine shroud on the sides. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Alright, so in preparation for the roof raise, as you saw before, I'd already taken most of the metal out of the back, but I've removed the panel by the window here. You can see right there, it's extremely rusty. I think that's where the water was infiltrating that got this top part soaked. Right now, I've kind of bent that. I'm trying to get some screws down here off with the old pneumatic air hammer. So, and right here's the intake. It's sort of in the way, but you can see I had to get behind it, get some screws unscrewed here to get this panel here out. Anyway, it's coming along. And if I can get that panel out, then I'll go around the back of the bus and maybe go ahead and just angle grind and cut a slot, because actually my intention is to raise the back portion at a cut line right in where my finger is below that window. If I reuse that window, I want it to be up above where the mattress will be, and our bed is going to come up probably about 8 or 10 inches above that back deck, if I had to guess. So probably have a little spot here where the puppy can have a spot to lay down. You know, we have a little dog. So anyhow, that's the plan. I'll keep at it. All right, so what I've done here is I took the cutoff wheel and I'm slotting the inside of the rivets in the back. This is to get this piece of skin here, that piece of skin off. Actually, I'm not taking it fully off. I'm removing enough that I can put a piece of sheet metal over it, and I'm going to cut down at the bottom. There's screws down there that I can unscrew. So the cut's going to happen right in this range right here. Sorry, right in there. Enough metal that I can lengthen this, tack weld it in place. But anyhow, I'm going to get at it here with at this point the flat part of the impact hammer and see if that works. Okay, so I was able to punch those rivets out pretty quickly. Now I'm going to move on to I'll show you the front progress, and then I'll move on to the other side, taking the rivets out on the louvers for the air intake. So up at the front of the bus here, took out the line of rivets there all the way around. I removed the antenna. That was that little hole you saw there. It was pretty old, so we'll probably just get a new radio antenna. And there you go. So all those rivets are out. That'll be ready to cut to do the roof raise. There's going to be a lot of cleanup inside the bus before the raise happens. I got the materials to build the tools, but you know, those will need to be welded up and installed, and then we'll do the cuts to raise it on the day of the roof raise. So I'm going to move this ladder around, and over where that is hanging, I removed the bungee strap that was holding that, but I will get the I'll get the rivets out on that side on the louver. Okay, so I use the angle grinder to cut some slots in the heads of the rivets coming down here. The sheet of plywood will come to about somewhere in here on this louver once it's raised, and then we'll fill in underneath of it as well, probably reusing these screw holes for attachment. So we're going to lengthen the air intake on the inside. That's why I actually cut the box in half, just sliced it in half in here. You'll see that I just chopped that in half down there with, hopefully you can see that, I laid a cloth there to keep dust from getting into the intake, but that way we'll have something to fasten sheet metal to with some sheet metal screws. But anyhow, that's what we're doing. I'm going to chop the heads off these rivets now and take that screw out right there. And we should be good to go here. Okay, so I was able to get one of the two little windows in the back out. As you can see, got extensive rust. That's why I had to take them out. But there's actually going to be storage on either side of the bed there, so I'll probably leave them out. You know, I may reuse the glass somewhere for a porthole or something like that. I'll have to think about that. But anyhow, I'm getting tired. I'm going to call it quits for today. Okay, so my ghost here is removing the back window of the bus while holding a camera, apparently. But anyway, I'm taking these screws out of the rear window. My wife and I have yet to decide whether we're going to keep this window in the new design or not. Probably going to, just to have another escape. If not, I'll get an RV window with an escape hatch. But anyway, regardless, I need to remove this so I can service it if we are going to use it. It's got a rust spot or two to be dealt with. So previously where this light is, probably drown off the camera, I took that window out, ended up bending that piece of metal. That was a little drip edge. And I'll be taking this window out too. Those are all rivets that need to be hammered out with the impact hammer. So getting a late start today. It's already dark out, but I figure I'll get an hour or two in. Okay, so I unscrewed that window, and while standing on a ladder, was able to lower it to the ground. I almost dropped it. That thing is pretty darn heavy. Might weigh about 80 pounds if I had to guess. Maybe a little less, but yeah, it was awkward trying to lower it to the ground myself. But that window's out. It was pretty easy. Just take out the number 3 Phillips screws at the top. So there were a lot of them, but they all came out easy. All right, so I slotted the rivets. It works best if you crisscross them and then just drive the chisel head right into the rivets. This method I'm using because I don't care about this metal as far as reusing it goes. Obviously, if I cared about the metal, I'd drill these out carefully. But as you can see, there's going to be some remedial work to be done with the roof raise in the back of the bus here. I'll have to build some new structural members to support the sheet metal. So anyhow, I'm going to pull this panel off. It's ready to come out. I've already popped all the rivets through into the bus, so time to pull that panel. Okay, so I got that second window panel out of the bus on that side. This explains pretty obviously right here why all the engine shroud was soaking wet when I removed that in an earlier video. The hat channel there is completely rotted away, so you know, and that's pretty rusty too. I'm going to probably wire wheel and cut out the worst of it, and then we'll probably an angle iron over it to reinforce that, and then put sheet metal on the outside. But you know, that can be fixed, but you know, that's going to need to be reinforced with the roof raise. I guess it saves me 2 hat channels that I was going to have to cut to raise the bus. Of course, I'm joking. I had to trim those up anyway. But with this project, it's little milestones like this that I actually get a charge out of. Maybe my life's boring, I don't know. But at this point, I am ready to fashion the roof raise tools, chop the hat channels, and raise the roof. So that's a significant milestone for me anyway. So we've got some nice weather coming. I might be able to do this even though it's winter time. It's been 50-some degrees today, so yay global warming, I guess. Anyhow, that's it for tonight, and I think I'm going to sign off here.